The very first time I've ever heard of a book club, I thought it was kind of strange. I thought it odd for people to all get together and sit beside each other while they silently read. I was more than relieved to hear that people actually didn't sit and read together. They all decided to go home, their own home, and they would read there. After finished reading the book, everyone would come together and discuss certain aspects of the book that they probably wouldn't have reading it on their own. If you were to take this format and put it in school, it would be called a classroom that has been flipped. Several people have tried to define clearly what a flipped classroom is, and the basic definition seems to be that you send your student home with a video lecture for them to watch before they come to school the following day. When they come to school the following day, they're ready to work with their classmates and their teachers to problem solve and apply the knowledge that they heard about the night before. They went on to say exactly what the flipped classroom is not. And this is a list of the things that it is not. What it's supposed to do is increase interactions between students and teachers. The teacher is supposed to be more of a guide rather than a dictator of knowledge. Students who are absent still are able to attend the classes in the sense because they have the video lecture online, and you also get a digital copy of the lecture. So when the question arises, how can we use this at ISB? The research basically out there doesn't share a lot for the elementary school. There's a lot of information for high school, some for middle school, and not very much for the early years, which leads us to believe that maybe it is more useful for children who are older. In addition to that, the issues and challenges with technology here may be something to be concerned about. I was hoping that my voice would be a little bit better a couple days after the grade 5 trip, but unfortunately it's still a little bit raspy. If I were to show you 3 beakers, one that's almost full, one that's half full, and one that's pretty close to being empty, and I were to say, if I told you I put the same amount of water in each beaker, would you say that's true or not true? Most people say quite obviously it's untrue because there's different amounts. But I go a little bit further and I say it is true, explain how this can be possible. Quite a few different explanations tend to come up with this. One of them is that some of the kids feel that maybe I wasn't being careful when I poured the water in there. Some feel that maybe some of the water spilled. Some kids do get the idea that the water somehow left and it turned into a gas, and they're not always familiar with the word and whatnot. But typically we're trying to introduce the idea in kind of a mysterious way that the water does turn into a gas, and we call that evaporation. Once we all agree that the water has, in a sense, evaporated, we take it one step further and basically say, well, if the water has evaporated, we should be able to see it. Why can't we see it? And where did the water go? Why can we see the water in the cup but not into the air? And this opens up a lot of possibilities for classroom discussions and also ideas on how we can somehow show that the water is in the air. Again, our aim is to get to a stage where we can talk about the full cycle, and I think that introducing the idea of the waters disappearing and we're not sure exactly how or why is a really good first step getting to a stage where we can talk about this water cycle that we want to use to support your EUs and EQs. One of the physical activities that we'll be able to do with the kids, one of the take-homes, is we can take a Ziploc bag, have the kids use a marker to draw on the bag. They can draw an ocean, a cloud, some sun, maybe some land. And we're going to pour some water in there. And we can add some food coloring as well, some blue food coloring to give the water some color. And we're going to take these Ziploc bags, seal them up, pin them up on your windows in your class, and you notice that little wee droplets will form at the top of the Ziploc bag. and we can chit-chat with the kids about where those droplets came from. And to make it a little more exciting, they can flick the bag and then basically make it rain inside their own Ziploc bag. Another exciting activity that we can do is taking a big bowl, small cup, some hot water, a small cup of ice, and I think some cellophane. And basically what we do is that we put the cup into the big bowl facing up, and we add the hot water, not too much. And then we put the cellophane on top of the bowl. We then take the ice and put it right above the cup, but still on top of the cellophane. And what will happen is that the hot water will evaporate and then condense right underneath the ice and begin to drop down into the cup. And I'll let you think about what this resembles in real life.
About creating the design work for your movement piece that we didn't get a chance to talk about. So I want you to see this before I leave you on your own next week with Miss Jasmine. So I'm going to show you a carpet that you've been talking about so far in your visual arts class, and we talked about it with movement in the performing arts class. And take a minute, you can stop and fast pace. So have fun being creative, and there'll be 10 of you who will be the movement people. Miss Jasmine will let you know who is who. The other 9 of you will be the musicians, and she has all the directions and everything that you need so that you can get started on your music part of the project. I'll see you in a week. Have fun.
Yeah, so the bottom line is that the flipped classroom should be seen as a tool that's used when it's actually going to help. The saying goes, a person with a hammer, to a person with a hammer, everything appears to be a nail. So use the tool wisely and you shouldn't have any problems.